Some say if the universe wants you to be with someone, it'll send you clear, beautiful signs. I say, sometimes it sends you a demolition team wrapped in perfume and false promises. And oddly enough, we agree with the demolition theory. Welcome, dear wanderers, to Buddhist Wisdom for the Elderly, where heartbreaks aren't tragedies, they're spiritual renovations. Stay close, because today we're unpacking the little cosmic pranks the universe plays on your love life. We'll show you signs you stumble across every day but mistake for accidents, when in fact, they're coded lessons begging you to wake up. Each part will guide you gently through the sweet-talking phrase, why it secretly stabs you, a story to make you wince and laugh, and finally, a Buddhist whisper on how to step out of the chaos. If you watch nothing else, don't miss part 5, where we talk about how the universe sometimes sends a wrecking ball, not a wedding invitation. Because knowing the difference could save you from rebuilding your house of illusions 1,000 times over. If you believe that aging should come with a sharper sense of humor and a softer heart, please like this video, subscribe, and help us reach 1,000 subscribers. Because every soul you help wake up, wakes you up a little more too. Now grab your tea, tighten your seatbelt, and let's dive headfirst into the wonderful, terrible, liberating jokes the universe plays with love. Part 1. The strange dance of synchronicity. They tell us that life is random, that people drift in and out of our story like passing clouds, meaningless, accidental, forgettable. But then one day you bump into someone at the grocery store. You lock eyes over a bruised banana, and something ancient stirs awake inside you. You laugh it off. Coincidence, you say. A glitch in the simulation, until it happens again. You run into them across town, in a bookstore you've never set foot in. You both reach for the same dusty novel. And when your fingers touch, it feels less like skin and more like memory. Something inside you whispers, "Pay attention." Carl Jung had a word for this, synchronicity. Meaningful coincidences that aren't just accidents. Events stitched together by an invisible thread, pulling you towards something or someone you were always meant to meet. Buddhists have another name for it, karma ripening. The seeds you planted lifetimes ago finally bursting through the cracked concrete of today. But let's be honest. Most of us are too busy scrolling, worrying, or running late for dentist appointments to notice. We expect the universe to send a telegram. Instead, it sends a missed bus, a spilled coffee, a stranger humming the song you thought nobody else remembered. The signs are never neon. They're handwritten on scraps of paper blowing across the sidewalks of your life. And if you're not paying attention, you'll walk right past them. Right past your next teacher, your next heartbreak, your next becoming. You see, the universe doesn't scream. It nudges, it winks. It lets the threads tighten until you feel the tug at your ribs. And sometimes, if you're stubborn, as most of us are, it doesn't send a gentle nudge at all. It sends a cosmic baseball bat to the back of the head, in the form of a person you cannot ignore. Someone who crashes into your life like a drunk angel, shattering the glass of everything you thought was solid, only to reveal the wide-open sky behind it. And when you tell your friends about it, they'll say, "What a coincidence." And you'll smile politely, knowing they have no idea. Because once you see the threads, you can never unsee them. Once you hear the music, you can never pretend it's just noise. Not every collision is meant to be a lifelong bond. Some are just there to shove you 1 inch closer to the truth you've been too scared to face. And sometimes, just sometimes, the stranger you bump into at the market, the one who smiles like they've known you forever, was not a stranger at all. They were a missing chapter of your own story. And the universe, in all its mischievous wisdom, decided today was the day to turn the page. Part 2. When you meet them, and it feels like a hit and run. You don't even see it coming. 1 minute you're minding your own business, perfectly at peace with your boring little life, and the next, bam, you crash into someone's soul so hard, it feels like you've been in a car accident you secretly enjoyed. You don't know their middle name. You don't know their dark secrets, their bad habits, their terrifying ability to leave without warning. You just know something inside you, something ancient and stupid and hopeful, stands up and salutes. It feels like destiny. It feels like fireworks. It feels like Disney lied, but you're buying a ticket anyway. Psychologists will call it instant connection. Buddhists will call it karmic attachment ripening like a moldy fruit. I call it therapy at first sight. Because here's the dirty little secret. That gut punch of recognition you feel? That magnetic pull toward a stranger you've known for exactly 3 minutes? It's not always love. Sometimes it's the sound of your old wounds clapping from the cheap seats. Sometimes it's your abandoned inner child dragging you toward the person who looks suspiciously like the parent who forgot you existed. And the universe? The universe just smiles like a lazy bartender who knows the regulars are about to start another bar fight they'll blame on fate. When you meet someone and feel too much, too fast, it's not because they complete you. It's because they crack you open at the fault lines you were hoping nobody would notice. They remind you of the ache you never healed, the freedom you never claimed, the love you never dared to give yourself. And it's intoxicating. Because deep down, we are addicted to our own unfinished business. We think we're falling for them, but often we're falling into ourselves, the parts we buried, the parts we prayed would stay quiet. So what do? We dive in headfirst, without a helmet, convinced this time it's different. This time it's real. And it is real. Real enough to rip you open in all the ways you secretly longed for but never admitted. Real enough to remind you that love is not a greeting card. It's a demolition site. And sometimes when the right soul crashes into you, the only thing left standing is the truth. Not the polished, presentable truth. Not the Instagram-worthy truth. The messy, bloody, sacred truth. You were never broken. You were just afraid to be seen. And now someone has seen you, even if only for a moment. Even if it hurts like hell. Even if it was never meant to last. Some collisions aren't accidents. They're invitations. And whether you answer that invitation with tears, laughter, rage, or surrender, that's up to you. Just know this, when the soul slams into another soul at high speed, something is always destroyed, and something is always set free. Part 3. Your shadow moves in and demands coffee. You thought the hard part was finding someone. You thought the universe would hand-deliver a soft, smiling soulmate who smelled like lavender and approval. You thought once you found them, it would all be rainbows, back rubs, and synchronized grocery shopping. Cute, because here's what actually happens. Your shadow moves in. And not politely either. It doesn't knock. It doesn't wipe its feet. It kicks down the door, throws its muddy boots on the couch, and demands coffee. Suddenly, you're angry for no reason. Jealous over nothing. Clingy when you used to be cool. Cold when you used to be kind. You watch yourself behave like a malfunctioning toddler and think, what the hell is wrong with me? Congratulations, you're not broken. You're just meeting the parts of yourself you tried very, very hard to exile. Carl Jung called it the shadow. All the things you were too ashamed, too scared, or too polite to admit you carried. Buddha called it Mara. The inner demons that try to drag you back into fear and illusion every time you reach for the light. And love, real love, doesn't create the shadow, it just turns the lights on. See, when you're alone, it's easy to pretend you've evolved. It's easy to look enlightened when nobody's pushing your buttons, when there's no mirror reflecting back your unhealed mess. But then they show up. The one who matters. The one who sneaks under your defenses. And suddenly, all your neat little lies start unraveling. The anger you don't have, the jealousy you outgrew, the insecurity you left behind. It all comes roaring back like a drunk uncle at Christmas. You can blame them, you can run from them, or you can do the bravest thing of all, sit down at the kitchen table with your shadow and say, all right, you ugly bastard, let's have coffee. Because here's the secret. The parts of you that are rising up aren't trying to sabotage your love. They're trying to heal through it. They're screaming, see me, hold me, stop pretending I don't exist. And if you have the courage, the slow, brutal, sacred courage, to look your own shadow in the eye without flinching, something incredible happens. You don't become less messy. You become less afraid of the mess. And the person sitting across from you, they stop being your savior. They start being your fellow traveler. Another wounded, wonderful soul carrying their own wild shadows. Real love isn't two perfect people finding each other. It's two imperfect people choosing to stay, even after they've seen the monsters in each other's closets, especially after. So if you're meeting your shadow right now, in the form of jealousy, rage, fear, neediness. Don't panic. Don't run. Invite it in. Pour it a cup of coffee. Listen carefully, because beneath all that screaming, there's a piece of your freedom waiting to come home. Part 4. Destiny or déjà vu. It feels different this time. You swear it. This person is nothing like the others. They're kinder, smarter, less likely to ghost you on a rainy Tuesday. You tell yourself, this must be destiny finally getting its act together. And then, 3 months in, you find yourself having the exact same argument you had in 1994. Over the same feeling of being unseen, over the same fear of being left. Different face, same wound. Carl Jung wasn't surprised. He said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Buddhism says the same thing with even less pity. Your karma follows you like your shadow, no matter how many times you move cities, change partners, or upgrade your hairline. You can change the scenery, you can change the soundtrack. But if you haven't changed the script inside your head, you'll keep casting new actors for the same old tragic play. And spoiler alert, the universe doesn't care how tired you are of the reruns. It will keep booking encore performances until you wake up mid-scene and scream, "Wait a damn minute, I've been here before." It's not punishment, it's precision. Life isn't random cruelty, it's ruthless mercy. It keeps pulling you into the same emotional battles because it knows one thing better than you do. You don't heal by changing partners. You heal by changing the relationship you have with yourself. Until then, you'll keep mistaking recognition for chemistry. You'll think, we must be soulmates. Everything feels so familiar. Without realizing, you're just two wounded inner children reenacting last season's trauma with better production values. This is why Buddhist monks laugh so much. They've seen the trap. They know the joke. The laugh isn't mockery, it's compassion. Because when you finally catch yourself in the pattern, really catch it, there's nothing to do but laugh too. Laugh at the desperate way you tried to outrun your own reflection. Laugh at the tragic poetry of thinking the new love would erase the old ache. Laugh, because finally, you understand. The universe wasn't dragging you through circles. It was carving a spiral. You weren't stuck. You were slowly, painfully learning how to climb. And every heartbreak, every argument, every sobbed apology you thought you were done repeating was never about them. It was about you. Waking up, layer by layer, lifetime by lifetime, tear by beautiful, ridiculous tear. Part 5. The universe sometimes sends a wrecking ball, not a wedding invitation. We all want to believe the signs mean what we want them to mean. You meet someone, you see their name everywhere. You start noticing songs, numbers, street signs aligning like magic tricks, and you think it's destiny, it's a love story. The universe is finally rewarding me for all that therapy. Maybe, or maybe the universe just thinks it's time for demolition. Maybe the signs aren't leading you to a wedding aisle. Maybe they're leading you to a construction site where you are both the builder and the rubble. See, the universe isn't sentimental. It's strategic. It doesn't care if you get a picture-perfect love story for Facebook. It cares if you grow. It cares if you break the patterns that have kept you half alive for decades. And sometimes, growth doesn't arrive wearing a tuxedo and holding roses. Sometimes it shows up swinging a wrecking ball straight through the carefully curated lies you've been living behind. Sometimes the soul you're destined to meet isn't there to complete you. They're there to collapse you. Collapse the false self you thought was keeping you safe, but was actually keeping you small. And you'll rage, oh you'll rage. You'll curse the timing, the unfairness, the betrayal of it all. You'll kneel in the ruins of who you thought you were, whispering, but I thought this was supposed to be love. And the universe, if it could answer, would probably just shrug and say, it is. Because sometimes love doesn't arrive as tenderness. It arrives as truth. And truth doesn't care about your comfort. Truth cares about your freedom. It's easy to love the people who soothe you. It's revolutionary to love the people who crack you open so something real can finally grow. In Buddhism, they call these beings kalyana mitta, spiritual friends who, through kindness or chaos, drag you closer to awakening. They don't always stay. They don't always smile. But they serve the highest possible purpose. They burn away the illusions you thought you couldn't live without. So the next time someone crashes into your life and leaves you weeping in a pile of your own wreckage, don't be so quick to call it a mistake. Don't be so quick to call it tragedy. Maybe, just maybe, it was the holiest kind of blessing. The one that doesn't feel like a blessing. The one that feels like the end of everything you knew and the beginning of everything you were too afraid to imagine. The wedding you needed wasn't with them, it was with your own soul. And sometimes the universe knows you'll never walk down that aisle unless it tears your old house down first. Part 6. You think it's meant to be, until it's meant to teach. At first, it feels like everything is falling into place. The conversations flow, the laughter echoes, the coincidences pile up like dominoes clicking into destiny. You think, finally, the universe is giving me a break. But the universe isn't interested in giving you breaks. It's interested in giving you breakthroughs. You think it's meant to be, and it is, just not in the way you hoped. Because sometimes the souls that feel the most familiar, the most electric, the most inevitable, aren't meant to stay. They're meant to teach. And some lessons can only be delivered by someone you let into the fragile, unguarded cathedral of your heart. Anyone can hurt you from a distance. It takes someone you trust to break you in just the right spot. The spot you swore you'd protect forever. The spot that's been quietly rotting while you tried to pretend you didn't care. The Buddhists have a ruthless little phrase for this. Teachers come disguised as enemies, but not enemies with swords. Enemies with soft hands and kind eyes, with promises they may or may not even realize they're making. They don't wake up and decide to hurt you. They just wake up being exactly who they are. And who they are collides perfectly, tragically, beautifully with all the things you haven't healed yet. It's easy to call it betrayal, easier to call it fate gone wrong. But deeper than all that, it's the curriculum your soul signed up for before you even had teeth. Because you don't learn courage from comfort. You don't learn self-worth from easy acceptance. You don't learn freedom by clinging tighter. You learn it the old-fashioned way. Through heartbreak. Through letting go, through standing in the wreckage of your own dreams and realizing you are still breathing, still burning, still here. The universe doesn't waste encounters, not the magical ones, not the devastating ones, especially not the ones that feel like they shattered you into 50 unrecognizable pieces. Every person you love will either stay to build with you or leave to show you the parts of yourself you were trying to outsource. And either way, it was never for nothing. Either way, you walk away stronger. Maybe softer, maybe sadder, but always more real. You think it's meant to be. It is. It's just that what was meant was never about a perfect ending. It was about a perfect beginning. A beginning inside you that no lover, no loss, no mistake could ever take away again. Part 7. You don't meet a soulmate. You meet yourself. We spend so much of our lives searching for someone. Someone to understand us, someone to see us, someone to finally silence the gnawing little voice that whispers, "You're not enough." We chase that feeling like addicts, through lovers, through strangers, through long nights spent bargaining with the stars. And sometimes, if the timing is wrong enough and the karma is ripe enough, we actually find them. Or so we think. We find someone who reflects our light back to us, and for a moment, we believe we are whole because of them. But here's the punchline the universe never stops delivering. No one can complete you. Because you were never incomplete. The soulmate you're hunting, the twin flame you're aching for, the missing piece you think exists out there in someone else's smile, has been living inside you the entire time, hiding in the parts of yourself you kept abandoning. Real love, the kind that doesn't shatter with distance, the kind that doesn't vanish when the fairy tale ends, starts when you finally, heartbreakingly, laughably, come home to yourself. When you realize that the other person, the one you thought was the answer, was just the mirror. A mirror that showed you your tenderness, your fury, your longing, your broken places, and your beauty too wide for the body you tried to stuff it into. And when the mirror leaves, because mirrors always leave, what's left is not a void. It's a doorway. A doorway to the part of you that no longer needs to be rescued. The part of you that doesn't flinch at loneliness. The part of you that can sit inside your own skin and whisper, "Welcome back. I missed you." In the end, you don't meet a soulmate. You meet yourself, reflected through the souls brave enough to love you messy and wild and half-formed. And when they leave, as some will, as all must eventually, you're not broken, you're found. Because the love you were seeking, it was never about them. It was the trail they helped you find, leading straight back to your own sacred, stubborn, shining heart. So if someone loved you and left you, if someone cracked you open and walked away, thank them. Thank them with a laugh. Thank them with a tear. Thank them with the quiet, furious grace of someone who finally knows. The universe was never trying to give you another half. It was trying to give you back to yourself. So what did we learn today, fellow wanderers? That sometimes love arrives wearing flowers. And sometimes it shows up with a sledgehammer and a grin. That not every soulmate is here to stay. Some are just here to hand you the keys you dropped back when you were young and afraid. We learned that the universe isn't cruel, it's just refreshingly honest. It doesn't care if you end up married, alone, or living with 12 rescue cats. It cares if you wake up. It cares if you stop waiting for someone else to save you and realize you were the one you were waiting for. If today's little cosmic jokes made you laugh, cry, or mutter, "Ouch, but fair," go ahead and leave us a like. It's cheaper than therapy and probably more effective. And if you know someone who's still looking for salvation in someone else's smile, share this video with them. Consider it a public service. You might just save them a few heartbreaks, or at least help them laugh while their walls come crashing down. We're Buddhist wisdom for the elderly, trying to reach 1,000 subscribers, not for the numbers, but because every new subscriber means one more old soul laughing a little louder at life's cosmic dance. Comment below, what lesson did the universe sneak into your love story? And until next time, stay wise, stay wild, and remember, sometimes the wrecking ball is the blessing.